Here is a policy statement on behalf of the Australian Labor Party for the federal election. The speakers are Mr Bill Hayden, Leader of the Federal Opposition, Mr Neville Wran, Federal President of the party, Stuart Littlemore and Peter Best.
Good evening and welcome to Brisbane and to the policy speech of the Australian Labor Party for the 1980 general election. In a moment, the federal leader of the ALP, Mr Bill Hayden, will deliver his party's policies for the next 3 years as the Government of Australia. For Bill Hayden, this occasion is a unique mixture of new experiences and a homecoming. The venue for the speech, where the crowd are still filing in and these latecomers are going to have to stand outside the hall and watch Mr Hayden's speech on big video screens, it's the Greek Community Centre at South Brisbane, and it was only a short distance from here at Highgate Hill that Bill Hayden grew up. In that sense, this is familiar territory. But there are many firsts tonight for the opposition leader and the alternative Prime Minister. It's his first policy speech. It's the first time Labor has opened its campaign at an ethnic centre, and it's the first time in the memory of most people that any party has launched its campaign in Brisbane. Inside the hall, an audience of some 1,500 people are seated at tables, and perhaps another 500 are standing as many as 6 deep around the walls of the hall, waiting for the federal president of the Australian Labor Party, Mr Neville Wran, to make a short address introducing the Labor leader. Mr Hayden's family is with him here tonight. His 3 children, Ingrid, Georgina and Kirk, are seated in the audience, and Mrs Dallas Hayden will accompany her husband into the hall. Now, here's the federal president of the ALP, Mr Neville Wran.
This is an historic occasion for the Australian Labor Party, for Queensland, for Australia. This is the first time for 70 years that Queensland has been the venue for the opening of our national campaign as the home of our party's national leader. Much more important, for the first time in 70 years, the people of Australia will themselves elect a Queenslander as Prime Minister when Bill Hayden is elected Prime Minister of Australia on the 18th of October. But we're not here tonight as Queenslanders. I'm not here as the Premier of New South Wales. We're here as Australians. Too much has been said over the last 5 years about the things which divide us. Too much has been done by Australia's present leadership, so-called, to promote divisions in our Australian community. And a lot has been said about the need for strong leadership in Australia, and I can't agree more. That is the crying need for Australia. Real leadership to give Australians a sense of unity and hope and purpose. We've been without it for too long. We've been without leadership of genuine strength that can unite Australia. Leadership of compassion and integrity and true competence and true courage. The strength which comes from an inner vision, a deep conviction about the way this great country of ours should go. The strength that comes from knowing and understanding the real hopes and needs, the anxieties and aspirations of ordinary Australian men and women and their families. Those are the qualities Australia needs in its leaders, and in Bill Hayden we have such a leader. And after the 18th of October, Australia will again have such a Prime Minister, a great Australian, a great Queenslander, a great human being of courage and compassion, the leader of the Australian Labor Party and Australia's next Prime Minister, Bill Hayden.
Thank you. Fellow Australians, the policies I'll outline to you tonight are for all Australians. They are policies which will begin the task of restoring equality of opportunity and national pride to our country. They'll restore dignity and fair play to all our people. They are policies to bring Australians together, not drive them apart. Policies to unite our country. Policies that allow all Australians to share our national good fortune and to play their part in the development of our future. And that, I suggest, is really the great issue before us in the elections on October 18. I make no apology whatever for the fact that our basic economic strategy is a policy of 6 broad programs to reverse the decline in family living standards. These programs concern taxes, housing, jobs, petrol and energy prices, family health care and family allowances. All 6 areas have an appalling record over the last 5 years. All have contributed to the stark reality that the average Australian family is today $16 a week worse off than in 1975. Five years ago, our standard of living was the 8th highest among Western industrial nations. Today, it has slipped sharply down to 16th. And all Australians are entitled to ask why. What has happened in this wealthy and resource-rich country of ours, one of the wealthiest in the world? Why this decline in our living standards, in our quality of life, in the opportunities and advantages for our people? I assure you, we intend to reverse the process. By doing so, by increasing the real value of the average family income, we restore the security of the family unit in our society. By improving our basic living standard, we encourage people to spend more, to buy more goods and services. And this in turn creates demand, more production, more jobs. And so the cycle continues as the economy regains confidence and starts moving again. What we propose is not only a policy to increase the value of the family pay packet, it is, in fact, a broad economic strategy to lift the Australian economy out of the rut of the last 5 years and to bring down inflation. The most immediate and the most dramatic impact we can make in this process is some moderation in the taxes all families pay. And unlike Mr. Fraser in the last 2 elections, we will not make promises we cannot keep or which cannot be paid for. Instead, we have decided to propose a general cut in income tax to put an extra $3 a week into all pay packets from February 1 next year. This will be achieved by raising the tax-free income level from the present $4,041 a year to $4,529 a year. It will free literally hundreds of thousands of low-income earners from paying any income tax at all, including 200,000 pensioners, and will give a uniform $3 a week cut to all other taxpayers. And despite what our opponents say, this is a tax cut the country can afford. After all, the Fraser government's latest budget 2 months ago proposed to collect $32,000 million in all taxes this year. That's almost double the burden of 5 years ago. Our proposal, costing $300 million, means a reduction of about 1 cent in every dollar paid in all taxes in the 12 months to the end of next June. So it can't be described as anything else except a modest tax cut. Now, we'd like to do more, but we can't, and this is a start. In the longer term, we'd propose a complete overhaul of the entire tax structure so as to introduce a much fairer system than the one now operating. For the moment, however, we can't responsibly go any further than the proposal I've just outlined. Our other programs in this package of family policies will compound the benefit of an immediate reduction in taxation. All of these programs have been carefully worked out and carefully costed. All of them have been announced progressively over the last 11 months. What we sought to do is explain our policies in open public debate well before the elections. In this way, we've avoided our opponents' expedient alternative of a grab bag of promises and scare tactics in the last weeks before polling day. Housing. Housing is one such area of national need and national priority. The great Australian dream of owning your own home is now out of reach of most families. Our family home ownership plan, announced last February, will cut deposits on homes by as much as 50% for families buying their first home. It involves a government grant of $3,000 to be used to borrow as much as another $9,750 from building societies, or an extra $11,300 from the banks without having to make any higher repayments. Now again, it's a modest proposal, but it's one we can afford. And again, it's an initiative that's an absolute priority because of the Fraser government's failure to keep its promises on interest rates. Three years ago, we were told that interest rates would come down 2% in 12 months. That promise was never kept. Interest rates are now the highest in our history, and they're going up again by as much as another 2%. The government, of course, is desperately trying to hold them down until after the election. What the increase will mean is higher home loan repayments and higher bank overdraft rates. Our family home plan will moderate the impact of these higher charges until we can get economic management under control. And I have no doubt we'll do better in controlling interest rates over the next 3 years than Mr. Fraser has been able to manage in the last 5 years. Similarly, we must take resolute and positive action to reduce unemployment. The Fraser government fights inflation. The Fraser government fights inflation by allowing unemployment to get worse. In 5 years, inflation has come down less than 3%. In the same period, unemployment has gone up by 170,000. Now that's an enormous cost for the many thousands of families involved. Every Australian, I repeat, every Australian must have the right to a job. That's a principle we cannot and will not abandon. It won't be easy and it won't be quick, but it must be attempted. And as a first step, we announced last March we would create 100,000 new jobs in our first full year of office for those Australians who need them most. There'll be real jobs, and there'll be jobs providing earned wages instead of welfare handouts. 50,000 of these jobs will be for young people between 16 and 24 under our Community Service Corps program. Another 20,000 jobs will be created for unemployed adults with dependents, while a further 30,000 new jobs and training positions will be subsidised up to 50% in firms, factories and small business. Now, certainly these programs will cost money, $180 million in our first year, but it will be money well spent. And let me say this, in 5 years, Mr. Fraser spent $1,600 million of taxpayers' money on a tax incentive scheme for factories and industries. and employers use the scheme to replace jobs with machines, a Labor government will not feel embarrassed about spending $180 million in getting some of those jobs back for people. Tied in with our jobs program is a broad agreement we've negotiated with the trade union movement on the development of economic policy. What this agreement does is establish the framework for consultation and negotiation between a Labor government and the trade unions on incomes and prices. It's the first time in this country such an agreement has been reached. It does not guarantee success, and I won't mislead you that it does, but it was drawn up only after months of patient discussion and negotiation. And it establishes the goodwill of both sides in taking industrial relations out of the jungle of provocation and confrontation. Nobody likes strikes, nobody wants strikes. But threatening the unions with punitive legislation is no way to bring industrial harmony and industrial peace to the Australian workplace. 5 years of Mr. Fraser's industrial policies have not achieved anything except to embitter the trade unionists and increase the number of strikes. There's no doubt we'll do a great deal better, and we'll do a great deal better with Bob Hawke as Minister for Industrial Relations. With Bob Hawke as Minister for Industrial Relations, we'll make a fair and proper incomes prices policy work in this country. Undoubtedly, the greatest stimulus to inflation in the last 5 years has been the rapid increase in petrol prices and medical insurance. The price of petrol has more than doubled in 5 years, and 50 cents in every dollar spent on petrol goes straight to the government in petrol tax. We can't blame overseas oil prices. 90% of our petrol comes from our own oil in Bass Strait. It doesn't cost any more to produce. It simply costs more to the motorist to buy. It's a taxing policy, not an energy policy. And it feeds into inflation throughout our country. A Labor government will freeze the price of all locally produced crude oil for the 12 months from next January 1. If this freeze had applied last year, petrol already would be cheaper by 23 cents a gallon or more than 5 cents a litre. But let me move on. Medical insurance is another area where government decisions have forced up inflation. 5 years ago, remember, Malcolm Fraser promised to maintain Medibank. Instead, in a series of bewildering changes, he demolished the most important social welfare reform in the last 30 years. A Labor government is committed to restoring universal health insurance. It cannot be done immediately, but as a first step we announced 11 months ago, we will extend free medical care in the next budget to all expectant mothers and all dependent children. And finally, in these 6 broad areas of family programs is a policy we announced last May to give higher family allowances to those families who need them most. Family allowances haven't increased for more than 4 years. They're now worth almost half their value when the scheme was introduced in 1976. Since then, inflation has gone up well over 40%, while taxes have increased by more than 90%. Given the cost of our other programs, we can't responsibly propose a general increase in family allowances. But what we do propose is a sliding scale of income supplement payments, ranging between $1 and $4 a week for each child for families with incomes up to a ceiling of $14,000 a year or $270 a week. Lower income families living on pay packets of less than $155 a week will get the full benefit of an additional $4 a week for each child. So let me summarise what these benefits mean to people in the community. These 6 programs will give a direct financial benefit of between $10 and $20 a week to the average family in our community. And I assure you of this, all programs will be brought into operation in our first year of office. Legislation enacting the income tax cut will be brought down in the new year. Now, these programs are needed, and they are necessary. We don't flinch from the additional cost of a maximum $550 million they will impose on this year's budget. It's a sum well within the limits of responsible economic management. I repeat, it is money well spent in returning some measure of justice to the living standards of all our people. It endorses a fair go for Australian families. There's another policy area of vital relevance to family welfare and family development, and that is education. Our education policy announced 3 months ago reverses the cutback in education funding of the last 3 years. It commits the National Labor government to increase spending by $100 million a year for each of the next 3 years in areas of education of the greatest need. And I repeat, in areas of education of greatest need. The principle applies equally for government schools and non-government schools. We don't believe that money spent on the future of our country's children is money wasted. I now want to say something about general welfare programs. What we can do immediately in the welfare area is enormously restricted by the extent of our other programs and what we can responsibly spend. The greatest service a Labor government can do for all Australians at this time is to restore a buoyant national economy. We have to get the economy moving and our people back into work. The whole thrust of our family programs is designed to do just this. A healthy economy with strong economic growth will allow us in future years to give greater attention to broad welfare programs. But even in these restricted circumstances, there are 2 welfare areas we consider of absolute need that cannot be overlooked. We will extend free pharmaceutical benefits to the unemployed at a cost of $3.8 million. And we will, in the next budget, index the means test on fringe benefits available to pensioners at a cost of some $3 million. And let me re-emphasize in this context, the 200,000 pensioners who will be freed from all income tax by the provisions of our proposed change to the tax-free zone. This will be of greatest benefit to many in our community in greatest need. And let me remind you, we remain committed to lifting pensions to 25% of average weekly earnings as and when economic circumstances permit. We achieved the objective in 1975. The national budget I brought down that year brought standard pensions up to 25.2% of average weekly earnings. That pension has now fallen back to 23.6%. And it'll be our objective in government to regain for pensioners what they've lost under Mr Fraser. Our proposals for the next 3 years represent the most responsible, balanced, practical and carefully costed program ever put before the people. At a time when Australians are paying the highest taxes in their history, we believe it's every bit as relevant to demand of Malcolm Fraser, where's the money going to? You know, it's remarkable. The coalition parties never seem to find any difficulty with cost in rushing out a whole new set of pork barrelling promises, as Mr Fraser did last night in his apology for a policy speech. But in fact, a matter of cost is a matter of priorities. The Fraser government is now spending more money than at any time in Australian history. It's simply a question of how you spend the money and how you use it to the best advantage of all Australians. So in conclusion, let me say that national politics during the last 5 years has been marked by the attitude widely held by many Australians that national leadership in our country has failed. The shabby conduct of the present government in so many aspects of administration has not escaped the Australian people, and this has been reflected in massive disillusionment with national government. The intense feeling the Australian people have for their country has not been matched by qualities of national leadership. To put it frankly, I do not believe the people have been given any reason to feel proud of their government. One of the tasks of the new Labor government will be to restore national pride by providing honest, creative and fair administration of the nation's affairs. That is our task. That is our task, and it's our challenge. To stop the rot, to arrest the decline, to restore unity and purpose, to raise the standard. It's a task which our policies take head on. It's a task to which I dedicate myself tonight as leader of the Australian Labor Party. It is the task we shall pursue in government after the 18th of October. Thank you.